right now. You are live. Go ahead, Mark.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Forton. I'm chairman, Macomb County Republican Party. And it is currently almost 5 o'clock in the evening on Tuesday, I think the 19th of November. The reason I'm doing this video is largely to the delegates of Macomb County. Although we're going to spread this around and people ought to know what's going on in Macomb County, since we know so many people around the state. But it's mostly for the delegates, and I'm hoping that people will share it. The reason I decided to do this is that yesterday I got a couple of texts from a guy in Macomb County that many people are getting to know named Ken Licari. I'd like to read the text to you. We'll put it up on the screen. He says in his text, "You lied again, Mark. Just when you tried to convince people you were doing the right thing. John James, Lisa McLean, the Board of Commissioners, Tony Ferlini, Larry Rocca, our Macomb State representatives, it appears none of them received any contributions from the Macomb County Republican Party. You owe every delegate an explanation on Thursday." Thursday, the 21st, is our county convention where a new board is elected. And from what I hear through the grapevine and everything else, we've been slandered for over a year now. And there's going to be a real attempt to take over the party, if you will, which is fine, whatever. But he says that I owe the delegates an explanation. Well, I have a feeling that I won't be allowed to tell the delegates anything. We'll just have to see what happens. So I'm going to make this video in the hopes that some of the delegates hear this. I will answer the questions that he put in that text. He also, the next day, put out a great big Facebook thing that was typical Licari stuff. I have every text the man has ever sent me. It's amazing, some of them. I should put up the text that he put up about a year ago. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. I hardly respond, especially to the slanderous stuff. We've been slandered so many times, me and my vice chair and the county party in the last year and a half through all of this terrible year. And we've responded to hardly any of it. The only thing I ever responded to was when it was claimed that we endorsed outside the party, which was not true. Forgive me, I'm sorry. Everybody knows it was not true, but we never did endorse in the governor race whatsoever. And when I say we endorsed, I'm talking about personal endorsements, not the county party. But let me give you first, before I answer these questions, let me give you a little history of our tenure as Macomb County leadership. We've got a wonderful board that's done wonderful things. It all started basically prior to our involvement in the board itself in 2016 with our vice chair, Lisa Mankiewicz. The county at that time had no office. There was an office, it was called a Victory Center. It was paid for by the state party, and the county party used it. I think they paid something. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm getting out of a cold. I think the county party contributed somewhat. I don't know if they did utilities. I have to ask people that ran it then. I don't know. But we had that building for a number of years until I was elected chairman, and then they stopped paying for the building and we didn't have it anymore. But back then in 2016, Lisa Mankiewicz was the Trump representative for Macomb County. And she had issues with the state party and that building because signs disappeared, all kinds of stuff like that. So she went out and she got another office and had everything delivered there. When she opened that office, there was a huge crowd outside, and it was in the heart of Democrat Macomb County. It was very successful, and she did very well. And in fact, Macomb County in 2016 actually won the state for Michigan. We put Trump over the top in Michigan. I've talked about it many times. Maybe you heard me say it. But it's so important because we learned a great deal. Ronald Reagan won Macomb County 2 times, big time. And then after that, George Bush won it, promising to continue Reagan's work. He lied, and he did not. He dismantled it, and the people in Macomb County spit him out in his second term. He only was a one-termer. Ever since then, they voted for Democrats. Now, Macomb County is a working-class county. Yes, it's heavily union, auto workers, that kind of thing. But they're fellow Americans. They're not idiots. They work for a living, and they know what happens when you're taxed to death. They know what happens when you got tons of inflation. They know what happens when you're dragged into wars left and right and everything else. They loved Ronald Reagan, and then they came out in 2016 with Lisa's leadership. They did a fantastic job, and again, took the state for Trump. Without Macomb County's figures in there, Hillary Clinton won by 11,000 votes. And you add Macomb in, and no, she won by 30,000 votes. So you put Macomb's figures in, like around 41,000, and it overcame that loss by 11,000, and Trump won. So then in 2020, we learned from all this, the Reagan experience plus Lisa's experience. And in 2020, we decided, I was chairman then, and we decided that we were going to focus on our fellow Americans, that everybody tells us, don't go in Democrat areas, you can't possibly win, blah, blah, blah. We were told, don't even run anybody there because, they'll never win. It's a waste of time and money. So we did 16,000 bags and of literature, and we focused on Democrat areas. For the first time since 1988, we took the majority of the county commission and 3 of the 4 countywide candidates. Now, we turned, I say we, a lot of people helped. There's small groups, this and that, they all worked, but the Macomb County Republican Party is the main force, and we turned this county red in 2020. So now along comes 2022. We've had nothing but roadblocks, potholes, and everything thrown in front of us. Yet we weathered them all and got past them all. This time, we put out 20,000 pieces of literature. And here's a sample right here. Everybody that brought their literature to us were in these packets, okay? 20,000 pieces, all into Democrat areas. We focused on the 58th House District, the 13th, and the 61st, and all the candidates. Now, Mr. Licari, the all-knowing one, complains and carries on that we did not give certain people money. We only had so much money to give, for one thing. And we could have had a lot more, except him and the people that want to throw us out of leadership. They boycotted the party 110%. We had a wonderful Lincoln Day dinner. We worked very, very hard to get Laura Trump into Macomb County. We thought it would be a unifying thing. But no matter what we try, no matter how we get our people elected, we just can't get the establishment to understand that we're not their enemy. So anyway, excuse me, I'm sorry. So anyway, we worked to get everybody elected. We could have made, as we put this thing together, this Lincoln Day dinner, we thought that we would gross over $300,000. I'm not sure what we actually grossed, but the net in the end was $62,000 because we were boycotted by all the powers that be in Macomb County, every one of them. Now, in the 4 years that we have had this office, we've spent $48,000 in rent, electricity, and so on. We raised it all. We got none of it from the people that are trying to take over the party. They've done nothing. Why haven't they participated? Where were they when we were bagging things? Where were they with door to door? Where were they with donating? They didn't participate whatsoever. Whatsoever. Out of that $48,000, less than $2,000 came from elected officials in Macomb County, the people we got elected. So now, this time I said 20,000 sheets. And this side here now, Mr. Licari said, this shows you how much this guy knows. We didn't give anything to Lisa McLean or John James. He's 100% right. We did not. Maybe it's because election law says the county parties can't give to federal candidates. We could not give money to Donald Trump. We could not give money to Lisa McLean or John James. Okay? It's against the law. Well, we can give $1,000 to each one. But Lisa McLean and John James had a war chest of millions. What's $1,000 going to do? Okay? President Trump had millions. What's $1,000 going to do? But there's things we can do. We can do door to door. We can print this up with John James and Lisa. Okay? All of our county-wides, Supreme Court justices. Okay? We did that. We spent $5,000 on bags and the printing of these things, which we are allowed to do. We work now this is how we decide to give people money. Since we only had so much money, what's important? And prior to us making money, we always made it clear that what was important to us was first and foremost President Donald J. Trump. Everybody at every meeting always said that's the most important thing. Without Trump's victory, praise God for that, and thank you for everything you might have done to help that. Without his victory, we would have a very gloomy future right now, no doubt about it. So he was the first and foremost for two reasons. First of all, we had to put an end to this Democrat garbage. Did you hear today? I heard that Biden, that useless human being, Biden, has authorized our missiles shot into Russia. Isn't that great? After the election, they're determined to start a war, ladies and gentlemen. They're determined to do it. So now I'm losing track, getting old. Maybe I'm getting like Biden. I don't know. But anyway, there's those that wish I would, and it may happen. Who knows? But anyway, so we decide how best to spend the money. You look at all the candidates. County commission is very critical to maintain the majority. All of our county commissioners were safe. To give one money that don't need money, okay, is a waste of money when you only have so much money. We always made it clear that the most important thing was Trump, like I said. Second most important was, excuse me, I want to cough all the time, was our prosecutor, Lucido. We cannot have in Macomb County, a red county, we cannot have a Democrat prosecutor that may or may not be supported by Soros. That cannot happen in our county. He was number 2. Trump, Lucido. Number 3 for us was Terry McCoskey, the one that won the primary, the sheriff race. Let's put it that way. The sheriff race was number 3 because we won 3 out of 4 years ago. We wanted that sheriff's race, and it's critical because we need a good sheriff, ladies and gentlemen. The sheriff we got did nothing for you and your family during COVID. He could have stopped it, and he did nothing. We sent him a letter asking him to intervene because he's a sheriff. He has a right to make sure Macomb County stayed open. Never heard a word. But then a county commissioner, Don Brown, the oldest serving Republican one, called me one day and he said, "Oh, Mark, I just want you to know that the sheriff is not going to enforce the mandates." Oh, that's great, Don. When's he going to announce it? But then this typical political stepping and fetching. Oh, well, he can't do that. Well, how does that help the people in Macomb County? He's not going to enforce it, but he's not going to say anything. That means the governor rules. How many of you did not have a wedding or a funeral or who lost a loved one in these damn death trap homes where this governor intentionally put people into? We needed a good sheriff in Macomb, desperately. So that's why we spent the money the way we did. Now, the federal candidates, we did give a little bit of money to 58. We have a great rep that represents parts of Macomb, Jay DeBoer. From day one, when I met Jay and Lisa and I talked to Jay, he said, "Mark, you got to find somebody to run in 58. Well, I wish I could say we did find somebody, but we didn't. Robinson is fantastic. He stepped forward. I don't know who found him, so to speak, whatever. But not only that, but he worked his heart out. He did tons of door-to-door. We gave him a little bit of money. We focused on his area with door-to-door with his literature on it more than once. But we didn't give a lot of money because the HRCC, the House Republican Campaign Committee, we stayed in contact with them, and they kept advising how much what they were going to do, not in dollars, but they said they were going to target that race big time, just like Jay said we should target. So when they say they're going to target it, they're talking about MONEY, lots of it. Okay? So we did not give to that race, but a little bit. Just pretty much so we could say we did, just to let them know we're supporting them. But the same thing went as time went on. 61, that was important too, in how HRCC started helping them. So we gave a little bit there. Robert needed signs, so we gave some money for about 300 signs. But HRCC said they were going to help him, so that's all we did. Because we're a team effort. HRCC is helping. Why should we pile in some money? If they're going to put in, let's say, I don't know what they put in, but let's say they put in $100,000. So what's our 1,000 or whatever? So anyway, and then we gave money also to Singer in 13 because as the campaign unfolded, HRCC said, hey, we think we can win that one too. Now, both of those races, even though we lost, one was 700 votes and the other a little over 2,000. But when you got so much money, if you're wise, that's how you spend it. Who needs it? Like, let's say Don Brown, okay, our oldest serving, longest serving, I should say, county commissioner. There's no way in hell he's going to lose an election. No way in hell. So why contribute? It's silly if you got another race that's closer and maybe you can win. We've got some great commissioners. We got Phil Kraft, very good. He's totally safe. I live in his area. Totally safe. So why put money there? So these clowns that just want to take over the party, that have done nothing for the party. So I hope you delegates will realize this, because you've had a year of being indoctrinated by a township clerk who has meetings and gives you food for votes, just like Tammany Hall in New York in the early 1900s with Teddy Roosevelt. Buying your votes, lying about us being amateurs. That's amateurs? Our history is amateurs? Well, what about an amateur clerk that can't give the results of an election till morning the next day? How about that? That township happens to be just like Wayne County is to Michigan. That township is that to Macomb. The last one to report over and over again. Seems to me we could use somebody with a little bit of experience there, which I could care less about. That's up to people. It's that township. But it's just amazing to me, the people that go after you and slander you left and right, and no truth to it. They don't want the other side heard, even though he said in this text that I have to explain to the delegates. But still, they're not going to want me to explain. That's for sure. But anyway, I want to bring up, I think I covered everything as good as needs be. But anyway, the convention is Thursday, and I think it starts at 7. Try to be there and get checked in a little early if you can, because we'd like to start at 7. It very rarely happens. You have to wait for a credentials report, and that is the report. Everybody checks in, and then they report how many are there. Everybody has to know how many credential delegates are voting, so that takes a little while. So even though it starts at 7, it usually winds up being a little bit later. We do not expect a late convention. The only thing is the election of a new board. Also, I want to put in a plug for our victory/Christmas dinner for Macomb County. Last year, we had a Christmas dinner dance. It was $40 a ticket. It was really great. Everybody that came had a great time. I'd like to invite you all to this one. It's $45. You can get tickets at the office, cash, check, or you can get the ticket online. We kind of need to know roughly how many people are going to be there. It's very important. I would like to see all sides participate, because no matter who wins this thing, no matter who the new board is, they have to face the financial burden of a convention in February. So that money will be going into the pot. So no matter who the new board is, they have to come up with the money to pay for a convention in February. And this dinner will help do it. It did it last time, and it'll do it again. It was a lot of fun. It's going to be very little, if any, politics at all. It's going to all be a nice dinner at the Shelby Gardens. You can look at Macomb-GOP.com, our website, to get information. So thank you very much. So we're going to decide on Thursday whether Macomb County Republican Party stays in experienced hands that have a victorious record or not. And but anyway, that's entirely up to the delegates. Whatever they decide, they decide. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. God bless you. Praise God for a wonderful victory for President Trump. Our country is going to be changed dramatically to the good. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.